This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. NBC News aired this video called "There's a New War on Social Media Conspiracy Theories." And has anybody noticed how obsessed the government and the mainstream media, which is one and the same, how obsessed they are with conspiracy theories? Remember the day where they would just dismiss it? They wouldn't even bring attention to it because they would say, well, those things are so ridiculous. If people want to believe in that ridiculousness, let them believe in that ridiculousness. That's crazy. We don't even need to address it. But have you noticed now where the government is acting completely insane and has gone rogue and is telling you should castrate your kids? Have you noticed that their number one concern is this thing they call misinformation? Of course, misinformation is just their way of saying silencing truth and calling it misinformation. And now we have a brand new invention that's being promoted by NBC News. It's called Debunk Bot. Because of course, what better way could we debunk things than bringing in artificial intelligence to tell us that every single truth within seconds is automatically a conspiracy theory, right? So in other words, I'll play for you what they aired on the news. They want people to go to DebunkBot to find out if there's truth behind the conspiracy theory. And I guess these are the types of people who would actually see some of the stuff that we all talk about and then expect the people who are doing it to give them their word for it, right? I mean, it's like you see a serial killer and you say, well, how did they not catch the serial killer for so long? How did he get away with it for 30 years before they implemented DNA testing to track him down? Well, do you think that when the police interrogated him, if he was on their radar in the first place, do you think he walked in and admitted to it? Well, of course not. Do you think he was going around to his friends saying, hey, I just murdered a family up the road? And you don't think the family would have said, what? Well, of course, if anybody was bringing up these things that were going on around him, he was playing dumb and pretending that they weren't really happening because he didn't want to get caught, right? Well, that's what your government is doing. And they're so nervous that people will realize how sinister they actually are. And they'll realize that the people outnumber them, and they'll realize that people can opt out of the system, that they need to put stuff out there. And I can't imagine what type of person would actually go to this website and try to put in something along the lines, as you'll see in this clip, about the moon landing and expect to get accurate information back. But of course, the bot, the debunk bot, has automatically been programmed with lies, so it could immediately just throw all the lies right at the person within seconds. Kind of like that blue box that we always see underneath videos like mine, right? Where if I'm talking about a topic, let's say something with the weather, well, they'll automatically try to dispel what the person in the video is talking about. But they've noticed that it doesn't work. In fact, it gives more credibility to the stuff we're talking about because it shows that they're a little paranoid and a little over the top. So in this clip, you'll see a woman who's like, hey, I believe fully in the moon landing, but let's just say that the moon landing wasn't real, right? She types in about how the flag was moving during the moon landing, right? And of course, the chatbot gets an immediate answer. And the goal of this, as you'll see right now, is to persuade people to not believe in the conspiracy theory. So they're pretty much saying 1 out of 4 people who will use this will have their mind changed. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is your government admitting to mind control. Yet most people out there won't see it. Most people out there won't say, well, who's controlling the AI in the first place? Could it be some sinister, sick people, right? I mean, I've been using the comparisons to serial killers, right? Imagine if you realized that the people controlling it were all mass serial killers that were committing genocide, huh? You gonna take them at their word? Well, apparently some people are dumb enough to do that. Look at how scared they are and look at this embarrassment of an invention. Debunk Bot.
Conspiracy theories about everything from the assassination of John F. Kennedy to what really happened on January 6th. Persistent in politics and beyond. But now, new tech may point toward a potential breakthrough. Meet DebunkBot, powered by OpenAI and created by researchers at MIT, Cornell, and American, who say it can help reduce people's beliefs in conspiracies significantly.
So let's go in that direction.
We tried it out with one of the brains behind the bot, Thomas Costello, with a conspiracy that decades of debunking hasn't eradicated.
That's one small step for man.
I believe the moon landing is not real.
Right.
I don't believe that. I don't actually believe that.
The bot asks us to elaborate on the belief.
And why is the flag waving?
Yeah.
and to rate how strongly we feel about it.
I'm going to say 99% true.
Then, in a series of screens, the chatbot presents facts, lots of them.
How can you be sure that what it's telling me here is accurate?
So absolutely. We found that it tends to be quite accurate. We hired a professional fact checker to go through some of the conversations in our study, a subset, and in 99.2% of cases that we looked at, the fact checker rated the AI's claims as true.
At the end, we reassess how strongly we feel about the belief now. And it's here where researchers found something that surprised them.
On average, people reduced their belief by about 20%.
And consistent across a wide range of conspiracies on topics from Princess Diana to vaccinations, they found 1 in 4 participants disavowed the belief altogether.
I think if you gave the facts to a semi-competent lawyer, the lawyer would make a much more persuasive case than the AI does. It's just that the lawyer would have to do all this background or research, and the AI can conjure it up in 12 seconds.
But in reality, getting folks to engage at all could be tough.
What makes you think that somebody who believes in a conspiracy theory is going to go on here and type it in so that their minds can be changed?
Yeah, well, so I would say that a lot of conspiracy theorists end up being motivated by truth and accuracy. Going to a chatbot interface that provides factual information, it seems like a good way to do that to me.
Like most technology, it can cut both ways.
You could imagine a version of this that spreads conspiracy theories.
The Debunkbot team now working on refining the tech, hoping it helps shine a light down conspiratorial rabbit holes.
We can use facts to open up the top of the rabbit hole to begin to crawl out.
A belief worth further research. Hallie Jackson, NBC News, Washington.
So what an absolute joke. An AI chatbot that will debunk any conspiracy that you believe, right? Well, of course, if you're not somebody who can freely think, it'll debunk it. I mean, I could go over there and type in just about every single thing, and I know what it'll say, right? For example, if I brought up what happened at that pizza place, and those just bizarre Instagram pictures of children who had pizza slices all over their bodies, and all sorts of things that would make no sense to post if you weren't doing something sinister and sick. But I'm sure it'll tell us, well, it's a quote-unquote conspiracy, right? Because it's been programmed to talk about any of the topics we all discuss and automatically give the opposite answer to it. So in other words, you're just reading and listening to a machine that's been programmed to lie to you, whose goal is to make sure you believe in the opposite of what's really happening in the world. And hopefully this is the type of thing that just goes out of business very, very fast. But of course, somebody comes up with this idea. You could take a look at the kid who was interviewed in that clip. I mean, they all look the same. You could look at these men who are responsible for these things. You can look at some of the women who are responsible for it, and you know how they vote. You know what their ideologies are. They're completely brain dead. They're living in alternate realities. They all look the same. They're formulated the same, right? They're manufactured the same. So this guy was like, I'm going to come up with this idea. Then I'm going to put this out there. And of course, conveniently, somehow got on NBC News with this horrible idea about debunking conspiracy theories. But of course, NBC wants to put this out there because NBC's fearful that you'll figure out what's going on. And it's not about NBC losing money. It's not about the mainstream media losing money because our tax money funds it, because it's really state media. It's about them losing control because what they want most is control over your mind. So let me read to you a little bit about what you just saw. This is how it's being marketed on Vice. Do you believe in vast conspiracy so much so that when you bring it up, other people give you weird looks and question your mental health? Now you can turn to a chatbot called Debunkbot to see why everyone is giving you those weird looks. Actually, when I bring these things up to people, especially with the way that I speak and how I deliver this, their heads explode in a good way because they say, I never thought about that. I never heard of that. What are you telling me about World War II? Wait, what are you telling me about that book of Revelation and that verse about those who claim they are and are not? They automatically just go, whoa, I did not know that. They don't talk about that at my church. And then you talk about things like DARPA or FEMA, and you start saying, do you see what's going on? They say, I've felt off since the government locked us down over some people having a common cough. So yeah, I think the opposite. I'm not sure that there's too many people that are giving weird looks and questioning my mental health or your mental health. We're questioning their mental health because there's nothing going on inside of their brains if they believe the stuff the government's feeding them. So maybe I'm not questioning their mental health. I'm questioning whether or not there's an actual brain and critical thought has ever been processed inside of this person's body. But thankfully, people like me and people like you who listen to my channel have the ability to pull people out of the hypnosis. So anybody out there who's giving weird looks or let's just make believe, right? These are the people, that kid in that video clip, those are the types of people who are getting weird looks because you look at them and you just go, well, this isn't what a man's supposed to look like. This isn't what a man's supposed to act like. Could this guy actually defend his lady? Could he defend his family? I mean, this is the kind of guy who wants to censor your thoughts. Something sinister about him, something psychologically wrong with him. And we should stop empowering these people immediately. So, Debunk Bot is an AI-powered bot that you can have a pleasant conversation with while it gently and respectfully debunks whatever conspiratorial theories you might have using nothing but evidence backed up by cold hard facts and good old-fashioned persuasive arguments. Well, there's no argument to be made because they're just literally debunking using the word debunk, which is what they use, right? They say, well, we debunked it. We figured out what they're saying and we complete. They don't debunk it. They don't give you any evidence. They just say that's a conspiracy, that's wrong. And then their cold hard facts, of course, are the same lies that they've taught us throughout the years in the institutions. The same lies that we learned in the school system. When we were all told we had to go to school, we had to go to college, we'd all be successful. Then you sit there and you go, I went to school for 20 years of my life. How come I can't find a job? How come I feel useless? Because all I learned was quote unquote communications, or all I learned was quote unquote economics at school. And all that geometry and all that stuff that I learned really hasn't gotten me anywhere, right? I don't know how to farm. I don't know how to clean water. I don't even know what water I can and cannot drink. Can I drink from the ocean? Well, I don't have any common sense of how to survive in the world because I went through the school system. And on top of that, all the history that I believe about the wars and who started them, it's all make-believe. So I've pretty much been put under 20 years of hypnotism. And that's obviously the hardest part to pull people up. But you got to love how they say, respectfully debunk the conspiracy theory too, because this is the way that, you know, these people kind of talk. Now, we'll do things in a respectful, if you raise your voice, it's considered hate speech. If you have a tone in your voice, I get that a lot. You know, he's got a tone in his voice. He's yelling. This is me talking. This is how I communicate. I'm sorry that I have testosterone. I'm sorry that I talk like this and it doesn't fit into social norms because I'm not weak. I mean, people out there come over here who are Christian and they're like, that doesn't sound like a Christian. Doesn't sound, I'm sorry. Could you define what a Christian sounds like? Because I remember in the Bible, John the Baptist wasn't walking around whispering and saying loving nothings into people's ears. Pretty sure he was angry. Not to compare myself to John the Baptist. I'm just making a comparison that if we're going to look at behavior of what a Christian's supposed to sound like, we could look at the disciples, we could look at John the Baptist. They weren't running around singing Kumbaya. But of course, like I've said, the CIA created this evangelical movement, so everybody thinks that a Christian's supposed to look and act the same way. And now, of course, they've trained people to be afraid of people like me or to think that we have mental health problems because we speak this way, because they want us to speak just like that guy in the video, respectfully and calmly, right? Well, so it's respectful and calm when they're telling you that you're a conspiracy nut, you have mental health problems because you are thinking this or asking these types of questions. So if they say it in a calm, monotone way, that's perfectly okay for them to do, right? It says a recent study published in Science, I'm supposing that's a magazine, Science demonstrates how Debunk Bot isn't just some clever little internet novelty. It actually does a good job of talking people out of conspiracy theories that they believe in, as you heard, perhaps even permanently. Based on the ChatGPT Debunk Bot, it was tested on 2,100 participants who held a wide variety of conspiracy beliefs, including the outbreak that just occurred, the moon landing, the 11th day of September, and the Kennedy assassination. The works, all the stuff you can hear people ranting and raving about online, which I guess means me, from X to the comment section of a recipe blog. Participants asked DebunkBot 3 rounds of chit-chat centered around conspiracy theories of their choice. DebunkBot then creates a counter-argument specifically for that user and their particular niche belief, right? And I love how they use the most obvious, like the easiest thing in the world that can't be debunked is the moon landing. It's the fakest thing that's ever been shown to us. It's amazing that in the 60s and 70s that, you know, parents, grandparents for our generations actually believed in the moon landing. But unfortunately for them, and to defend them a little bit, this was flashed on a television very quickly. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have tape machines at the time. So they were just fed this and told it was true on the news, and they couldn't really sit there and go through all of it. So they saw it once or twice. You know, of course, they would show clips of it here and there, but not enough so people could actually break down the footage and go through it and say, well, this doesn't look real. And then, of course, the more you hear a lie, the more the lie becomes truth. And that's how they were able to get generations to believe in so many lies. Now, of course, one of the benefits of the internet in breaking free from the hive mind is that people out there break these things down. They break all of it down. They discuss these things. We're able to go through. We're able to see, some of these people who are actors after events occur, right? We see them. We're like, this doesn't look real. This person's laughing. Their kid was just killed. What? Right? Back then, you wouldn't be able to do it. You see the news clip one time, and even if you thought it was suspicious, you would go, that didn't sit well with me, but I guess they're just in shock. But then you see them doing an interview on, let's say, 7 different channels. And on every single news channel, they're laughing. And they're conveniently just constantly showing up on the news 24 hours after their kid was tragically killed in an event, right? And you start saying, yeah, this doesn't seem right. And then you hear the parents 24 hours after, instead of talking about their child, they're saying, we got to do something now. What we need to do is get these laws in place so that people can't be armed anymore, right? And then you go, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's not normal behavior. Okay, there's definitely something going on here. Oh, but don't worry. Debunk bot is here to debunk that and say, well, people grieve in a certain way. So if they're laughing 24 hours after their kid's killed, that's perfectly normal. If a parent loses their kid and 5 hours later, instead of being with their family, crying on the floor, I couldn't imagine what I'd be doing. They're on NBC News, sitting in their home with a whole camera crew there, and they're talking about how we need gun reform. So, yeah, that's perfectly normal. So, this goes on to say, for years, we all just assume that people who believe conspiracies will never be talked out of them. But Debunk Bot is proving that is possible. Maybe we're just going about it in the wrong way, right? They're not manipulating in the right way. They think Debunk Bot will be able to manipulate people in the right way to believe in lies again. They're upset that people aren't believing in their lies anymore. So they come out with Debunk Bot to say, well, look, we know there's just people like this guy, Rebel Call, and others out there, and we're not going to change their minds, but we could change their audience's mind. Of course, they put all these bots in the comment section underneath that video clip that I played of people saying, I agree, facts are facts and lies are lies, right? Yeah, I agree too. Facts are facts and lies are lies, and everything the government feeds us is a lie. So it goes on to finish up by saying the power of Debunk Bot is in its personalized approach, trying to convince the masses that conspiracy theories have no basis, in reality may convince some, but it won't convince those who can cite different pieces of evidence. Debunk Bot tries to deliver a custom convincing argument, no matter how niche your conspiracy is or what personalized little twist you have on a common conspiracy. As for how to get conspiracy theorists to engage with Debunk Bot, its creators are thinking of sharing the bot in forums where conspiracies thrive. Great, maybe we'll see some underneath this video. Or buying ads in search results for conspiracies. That won't be possible because any channel that's a conspiracy gets removed from pretty much every platform, maybe with the exception of Twitter, but unless, of course, you're talking about the conspiracy about the synagogue of Satan, then you'll be removed. But, of course, conspiracy theories are going to assume that Debunk Bot is a conspiracy unto itself, so that might be a bit of an issue. So what they're telling you is that the goal of this is to convince you in a lie. They're so obsessed with you, they don't tell you, like, what's the big deal if somebody believes in a conspiracy, right? What's the big deal if somebody doesn't believe what they see on the news? Well, the problem with that for them is that suddenly people will start seeing who they truly are, that we have a bunch of psychopaths who are acting as our leaders, guys like Bill Gates. So you go, how is this guy the face of the climate? He's the face of the potion. He's the face of technology. Oh, wait, that's interesting if we connect all the dots with the digital ID and how they're going to get it in you. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Why are these people? These people are psychopaths. They're sinister, right? But they don't want you to think about them being sinister. So they're so hell-bent on censoring conspiracy, but more and more people are waking up. The thing that they've done, which is, it really has gone against them, that makes me think they're real idiots, is the fact that, yes, there's a lot of people, there's 50% of the population, primarily Democrats, who believe whatever they're told. Well, they're communist foot soldiers, right? But think about how many people have woken up because they constantly see the censorship of people getting, let's just say, people are looking for one specific YouTuber and they can't find him anymore. They used to follow him. Lots of people followed him. They can't find him anymore. They think he's dead. They think he's gone. They think he quit because of his name. He doesn't show up in the search results, right? You know how many people probably suddenly think, wow, he must have been onto something for them to take down channels that had 500 plus thousand people. He must have really known what he was talking about. And so probably all these people in that community probably know. Why do they constantly talk about them on the news? Why do they constantly mock them? What's so dangerous about what they're talking about? The moon landing being fake is dangerous? Why is it dangerous? Well, it's dangerous to mental health. Why? Oh, because it's going to cause a mass awakening and people are going to realize what the government's really trying to do and how this experiment on the mind is actually working. They're obsessed. They are sickly obsessed. And like I said, a lot of the stuff they've done is backfired. The blue boxes specifically. People are like, why am I seeing a blue box underneath here? You guys talking about masonry, there's a blue box underneath the video. Well, what do I need the blue box for? Let me hear what this guy has to say about it. Well, they're so obsessed with you not learning the truth about these people, who they are, what they do, so you could connect the dots and figure out how this whole thing is running, how this whole operation is taking place, and how all these corporations and how all these members of government are involved in this stuff. People go, wow, now I understand how, because the hardest part for me was to figure out how could they do it? How could everybody be in on it? Now they start seeing, they say, oh, there's one in my town. Okay, my local politicians are not, so that's why my local politics are also pushing all this woke stuff and Agenda 2030 stuff and climate stuff. Oh, interesting, right? So they're scared to death. And they'll continue to be scared to death because the one thing that they don't want to lose is control. That's why I always get mad when people are like, oh, it's about money. It's not about money. They don't want to lose control. All their power comes in control, period. Period. But God gave us all free will, and they're trying to remove many different forms of free will. We know they're trying to remove just people from being human at this point with their DNA and what they're trying to do. But they're trying to remove the free will of free thought. They want you to think inside of their hive mind, which is why they create things like Debunk bot, which is absolutely comical. And anybody who goes to Debunk bot and believes it, I mean, you get what you deserve, really. If you're not even thinking to yourself, well, who's running Debunk bot? Who's programming it, right? Who's programming it? They don't think who's programming it, right? Oh, it's just a machine that fact checks everything and it's giving you information, right? Oh, right. The same way that Google shadow bans actual truth. When you search certain topics like 5G, the only stuff that shows up are articles about it's crazy conspiracy to think this, to think that. Pretty much people telling you how you have to think and who are scared to death of you figuring out what's actually going on. So Debunk bot, absolutely comical. Pathetic. I mean, there's so many words we could use, right? But there's a new war on social media conspiracy theories, ladies and gentlemen. And these people think that you're so dumb that you'll actually believe what they tell you is truth and what's not without you allowing yourself to figure it out for yourself. Because if you find channels like this, your brain, like I always say, like an onion, peeling layers off, you will wake up little by little. You will realize what's going on. You'll realize things about just all these things that we hear and we go, what are they doing? What is DARPA doing? What is the military doing? What is CERN doing? And you start saying, yeah, none of that makes sense what they claim. Why is there so much stuff going on in the sky? Wait, what? They're creating artificial eclipses and artificial suns? But they tell us that you're crazy, but they're admitting now that they do that? Fake northern lights, what? And then they'll peel all the layers off and you start waking up to what's going on. That's what they're scared to death of. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.